Hi, this is Brenda and Elaine.
Welcome to our After the Show episode, where we go deeper into what we learned from our conversations with guests.
Here we are today to talk about our conversation with Ricki Fairley, this amazing woman. What did you take away from our talk with her?
Oh, so much. I mean, the main thing is what an impressive woman she is. And so, if anyone has not listened to that episode, go back because this woman was told that she had 3 months to live with breast cancer. And she said, no, not my time. And, found a way, found a clinical trial that saved her life. And so, that's just so impressive. And, some of it was a little bit of luck that there was a new medicine that addressed her cancer, but just the fact that she took charge and found a solution, it's pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
she didn't break down, which I
Right.
think is what I might have done at that point. So she just went into solution mode, and that is impressive. And what she's done since then is also something that is really remarkable in founding the Touch the Black Breast Cancer Alliance to help other women, other Black women who are going through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
What I learned from her is that breast cancer actually acts different in Black women, that we have different experiences because, well, we don't know why, because we need to do these clinical trials that
Mm-hmm.
she also is pushing, but we know we have worse outcomes. And we get the more aggressive types of breast cancer more than other populations do. So she has done a lot of research with her alliance and for herself and for other women to help try to solve some of these issues.
Yeah, and the number one thing we can do is to get screening, to find out what our risks are. And so I think the fact that I guess it was her older daughter had a breast cancer risk assessment and then decided to have a prophylactic mastectomy is pretty amazing. And so I think a lot of people may have breast cancer that runs in their family, but that think, well, what can I do?
Well, this risk assessment I
Mm-hmm.
know is something that a lot of doctors are using now, I believe, because my doctor has used it. And whether or not you have a gene that indicates that you might have breast cancer in your family, you still could have a higher risk of having breast cancer, which is the case, for us.
Mm-hmm.
And once my doctor used this assessment tool on me and figured out the percentage that you may get it in the future, if once you hit a threshold, then you have access to more screening tools so that you are on top of any problems that could come up for you. So I not only get one mammogram every year, I also get a sonogram too.
And really, what they say is the key to cancer survival is one of the keys is early detection. I mean, both the times that I was diagnosed with breast cancer was very early. And I feel really, really lucky that, I'm coming up on 5 years
Yeah.
cancer free.
And Ricki, what, 12 years?
Yeah, girl,
Right.
that's just really exciting. Let's talk about her daughter a little bit because, I had a mastectomy and I feel like it's a big, scary word. A lot of
It
people,
is.
it is.
There's no question about that,
It
right?
is. But I think even people who have a high risk of developing breast cancer may choose not to get mastectomies. And when I had to get a mastectomy, I'm the first to tell you, I was scared. I was worried about well, first I was worrying about living, but after that, when I
Right.
knew that wasn't an issue, I was just, worried about intimacy with my husband, going to the beach in a bathing suit. There's many things I was worried about. And I told you I Googled images of mastectomies before my surgery.
Right. Not the right thing to do, right?
Not the right thing to do. First of all, because technology has evolved and it's so much better now. Their ability is so much better now. And then the second thing is, I would just say to someone considering mastectomy, there's life after mastectomy.
And that's what Ricki did indicate, that she has told many people and gone to doctors with friends and said, you know what, a lot of people try, and I understand why, to save their breast. That's
It's
what,
a part of your body. It's a big,
right, exactly. Why wouldn't you? But because she is so aware of the data and the fact that, in Black women, it's just more aggressive. And we have to think a little differently when we make these decisions, because our life is the most important thing to save. And it seems like, and I think you had the case too, as you at first tried to do a lumpectomy, because of course you don't want to maim your body, but then you ended up having to go back and do the mastectomy. And I think her recommendation for many people is, it's okay. You can have reconstruction.
Yeah.
You can have a great life. Don't put yourself through this multiple times and risk your life.
And risk your life. Do you remember Bridget, who we had in season 1? So she was talking about osteoporosis, but one of the things she mentioned to us on the side was the fact that she had had breast cancer and her father had been a breast cancer surgeon.
Oh, that's right.
And even though her breast cancer was very, very early stage, her father was like, get a
Like her father called her doctor and said, tell my daughter
to get a mastectomy, because he had seen it too many times where,
and I think Ricki too.
Yeah, people thought they'd caught it, thought they were good, and then they weren't good. So, of course, talk to your doctor, do your research. But my lesson from Ricki's daughter is, wow, how impressive that a young woman who did not have breast cancer chose to have prophylactic mastectomy.
And she made plans, right? She made plans. She talked to her husband. She made sure that she had the children that she wanted to have, and that,
she'd breastfed
she was
them.
done,
Yeah.
and she was done with that process. She made an informed decision because she also had the breast risk assessment and knew that her risk was pretty high, even though she didn't have it at that point. So for her own peace of mind, and I think with much encouragement from her mother,
Right, probably.
she went ahead and did that. So, I'm happy for her that she's also in a good place right now in her life.
The last thing that I took away from our conversation with Ricki is a reminder of what I already know just from you and me and, our extended family, is how important community is. And especially when we're in challenging times, to show up for your sisters the way her group of friends showed up for her. And I mean, they did things like remediate the mold in her apartment or something like that. I mean, it's like you never know what would be helpful to someone.
And the other thing this reminds me too about Ricki is that she was bold in finding a solution, but she was also bold in determining that she needed to change her life, and recognizing that stress was a contributing factor. She decided to remove things in her life that were stressing her, which included, at the same time as being diagnosed and being treated, leaving her job, divorcing her husband. She made all these major life changes, and I think it was all in service to making herself healthy.
Yeah.
And she said every morning she woke up and said, I want to choose life, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to give myself the best possible chance for that.
Yeah. And so one of my takeaways from that, thank you for raising that, is that you don't have to have a life-threatening diagnosis to take some of the lessons from Ricki's experience, which is, we all know that stress does damage to your health, especially sort of over time, having to deal with stress. So it would be useful for anybody to think about, what are the things that are stressing me? What are the major stresses in my life? And what are the things that I can do to remove those? Because I think oftentimes, especially as Black women, we become the masters of managing stress. And I think there's a difference between managing stress and removing stress. And I can't, I've had some stressful jobs, and I walked away from a pretty stressful job 2 years ago, and I felt like I was managing it, but life right now, I feel so much better and healthier not managing it, but having removed it.
Right. And sometimes you don't recognize how much stress you are actually experiencing when you're in it, because you just sort of, it's part of your day to day, and you just think you're getting by. And so when you walk away and you realize how much lighter you feel, how much happier you are, then you're like, oh, okay, there really was something going on. And I think kudos to Ricki for recognizing it in that stressful period and making those changes all at the same time. Of course, having the community support made it easier for her to do that. And the fact that she is now giving back in the way that she is amazing. She's really trying to pay it forward.
Yeah.
And she's doing a great job.
So thank you, Ricki, for all you do, and thank you for being on the Body Wealth Podcast. Let us know what you learned from this guest.
If you want to support Body Wealth, please subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. We'd also love it if you give us a 5-star rating and write a review letting us know what you love about the show.
The Body Wealth Podcast shares personal stories to inspire you. It does not constitute medical advice. For that, we encourage you to work with a trusted healthcare provider.